Okay. So we're going to talk Jesus today, and I'll explain to you why we're going to talk about Jesus in 1 second. Who is Jesus? I mean, I'm not going to go into a whole conversation. I should do a whole class about it. But many of the comments I've been receiving were about, all right, I guess TikTok can hear me. Chipmunk, can you hear me? So, can you hear me? Let me type this quickly. Can you guys hear me? I know Instagram, you guys can hear me, so you don't need to do that. Carolyn, can you hear me, love? Can you let me know that you can hear me well on TikTok? You can give me thumbs up. You can say yes in the text. Okay, we're going to talk Jesus. I'm assuming you guys can hear me. I know that Instagram does. So I've been getting a lot of comments, a lot. As you can imagine, I've had a few videos that have gone viral about Jesus. Like one specific person says, bro, you're not Jesus. You're not God either. We're imperfect beings. And I'm so happy that he said that. Quoting, I am God, like this is what he's saying. Like for me to quote that I am God or him God would result in foolishness of pride. It's your decision if you want to live a life separate from Christ. He's not going to force you to follow him. I agree with him. He loves you enough to let you go in this life. I love that. I totally agree with him. If you continue to be this way, then you'll spend separate from God in hell. Amazing. Wow, this is so... Hey, Karabo, can you hear me on TikTok? Can you let me know? I'm assuming you guys can hear me. I'm on TikTok and on Instagram. And then he goes on by saying, however, there's always to return back to him, bro, which is super sweet for him to say. If you go to Christ with your heart broken and spirit crushed and give it all to him, he will save you and uplift you from his love greater and his forgiveness. Okay. Love, love, love. Hey, Garden City, can you hear me? Let me know. You guys on TikTok, let me know if you can hear me. Give me like thumbs up. I know Instagram can. So, just for people that don't know who I am, my name is Tony Ghazi. I'm Lebanese. I was born in Lebanon, moved to the US, and I'm Christian. I grew up Christian, guys. Greek Orthodox and like Catholic. So my dad would love to know why some spiritual people are leaving and renouncing spirituality and going hardcore Christian. Jesus is the only answer. Thank you, Olivia, for asking that question. And that's why we're here today, guys. I'm probably going to be here for half an hour or a bit less. I wrote some notes about things I want to talk about so we have some sort of structure. You guys know that I channel spirits. I channel specifically like praying mantis beings. Don't worry about that like label, etc., etc. I bring messages like from the beyond. But I have to tell you, I'm not special. And I'm going to tie it to Jesus in 1 second. I don't have any special gifts. I wasn't born special. La, 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 la. Each and every one of us are Christ consciousness, are the conscious like divine. And again, for the people like that are joining, we're speaking Jesus today because I've been getting a lot of comments on like social media that, oh, bro, that you have to believe in Jesus. You have to follow Jesus. He's outside of you. We are sinners. Nope. We all misunderstood what Jesus said. And like keep in mind, oftentimes we follow people blindly. We follow religion blindly. We follow priests blindly. Whether you're Christian or any other like denomination of like religion, we follow and believe without discerning inside of us, without noticing our life, without noticing our patterns, without listening to our heart, guys. Right? But let's talk about Jesus, since this whole thing is about Jesus. One of the famous sayings that if you're Christian or not Christian, you may have heard that Jesus said, "You are made in the image of me." Like, listen to the words, "You are made in the image of me." He wasn't speaking about the personality of a man. He was literally speaking, which a lot of us miss, but many of you probably do get. A lot of us miss because we don't go inside to dissect the word. You are made in the image of me. What he's saying is the awakened Christ consciousness, the intelligence of Christ consciousness within us, that the infinite awareness that knows itself as one with source is within us. He is saying that we are made up of him. Recently, I posted like a video where it says, "Where is God?" or "Who's God?" or like, "Where is God?" I think. And I said, God is you, because every single cell within your physical body, trillions of cells that exist within our body, are of God consciousness. Hi, Starseer Kelly. Hello, honey. Today we're talking about Jesus. Guys, I was born Christian and I know all about Jesus. I wasn't like fanatic in the sense I read the Bible like every day, but I believed in Jesus and prayed for Jesus and Mother Mary and all the saints for 41 years until I awoke spiritually. Now, this doesn't mean I don't believe in Jesus. This doesn't mean I don't believe in Christianity. I do, but all of it resides within me and it's not outside of me. That is the fallacy and the not problem, the challenge. When you awaken, you have been so conditioned through religion, through Christianity, and all these other things. Jesus is outside of us. Mother Mary is outside of us. Krishna, Buddha, whatever you believe in resides outside of us. That's separation. That's us forgetting that we are divine. But let's go back to the saying that many of the Christians know, and even if you're not Christian, you may have heard. Jesus said, "You are made in the image of me." And I'm looking down, guys, because I have some notes to share with you. You are made in the image of me. Like, listen to the words. He's not saying you resemble me. You are halfway like me. You are 99% like me. He said you are made in the image of me. What part of that aren't we comprehending consciously, right? But we've been so conditioned that we are separate. Then we've been conditioned through priests, through religion. And I'm not saying that perhaps they were teaching this consciously, because oftentimes you follow what you follow. You follow your parents, you follow your religion. And if you've been taught over and over again, Jesus and Mother Mary and all these beings live outside of you, then you begin believing that. So they, with the goodness of their heart, they're teaching something unconsciously aware of, that what they're saying is really separation. What Jesus was saying in the sentence, "You are made in the image of me," is that the same divine essence that lives inside of me also lives inside of you. And that's the video that I left the other day. Every cell that we have, we contain trillions of cells inside of us. All of them are conscious. All of them are gods. So we are one God containing trillions of consciousness within ourselves. That's where the wisdom lies. And that's what Jesus was saying. That, I'm going to go back. "You are made in the image of me" was meant to mean, which we misunderstood it because we forgot, the same divine essence that lives in Jesus, he was saying, also lives in you. Jesus literally was the mirror for us of our forgotten divinity. He stepped into this life. He awoke, was born in our reality to show us what we couldn't see. His life literally was a demonstration of what happens when human fully surrenders to their divine nature. He literally was the example to say, when you surrender into your divine nature and begin going inside of you and understanding that you are made, your ingredients that make you and like physical are the same ingredients that make me. When you awaken to that, then you are a walking divine essence on earth. That's what he's saying. But why do we miss that? Why did humans miss and understood like that saying, "You are made in the image of me," and they missed like the deeper truth? Because most of us guys, like I said, we were taught that God lives outside of you. Like somewhere out there in the universe, somewhere like within the ether. And guys, again, I'm Christian. I grew up Christian. I prayed for Mother Mary and Jesus for 41 years. Would get on my knees in front of my bed before I go to sleep, praying something outside of me. Now, these prayers did not go unheard. Many of the prayers were heard, but oftentimes when we pray from the idea of separation, the idea of manifestation is the same thing. What is manifestation? Wishing for something. That's another prayer. Things don't manifest as fast. There is a time delay in which things manifest, right? So most of us have been taught that God is outside of us. So when someone like Jesus embodied the divine power and made these miracles and radiated unconditional love, like Jesus was the epitome of unconditional love. Jesus was the epitome of like connectedness. Jesus was the epitome of hope. Jesus was the epitome of the healer, right? But when we were taught Those things are outside of us. The mind translates what we just experienced, Jesus walking on earth, as him being different, him being special, him being chosen, him being God in a sense, him being having extra things that we don't have. More value to him, less value to us. That is a fallacy. This is where we need to wake up, guys, because the truth is Jesus was not chosen. Listen, Jesus was not chosen. He chose to remember. He chose to remember his own divinity and was born on earth, allowed himself to remember that God lives within him. Because who's God? We say he's the Son of God. Who in the hell is God? You tell me. Open the book, the Bible, the Quran, Bhagavad Gita, I don't know, all the religions. Tell me where God is and who God is. Apart from Jesus, he's the only kind of like physical person, and like perhaps other prophets or like other beings that were like physical and real. But the idea of God, what is that? So when you sit there behind the camera in your own mind, at work, at home, like saying, Jesus was the Son of God. Who is God? Prove to me that God exists. Prove to me that God is there, like Jesus, like for example, right? But that was the whole point. He embodied here to let you know that God that you are searching for is within you. That you are made in the image of Jesus. That he wasn't special. He was literally, again, he was not chosen by anything or anyone. He chose to remember himself as a divine being. And that remembrance became a map for us. But religion, perhaps through ignorance, unknowing, trying to understand like the more, I'm not blaming like anyone, right? Because we're all trying to search for the meaning of the greater thing, right? We're all trying to understand like the more to the best of our ability. So the map that he created for us to choosing to remember who we are through the idea of like religion, they turned it into worshiping this like deity that seems to be outside of you when it's really worshiping yourself inside of you. And guys, this is not ego. And I'll get to the ego in like 1 second, because the reason like that I'm talking about Jesus right now, because I've had a lot of comments, guys, about turn to Jesus. Jesus is the answer. You are not God. If you think you're God, you are going into your ego. I'll get to all of that in 1 second. And also, I understand the people that have mentioned these comments, because I was there, guys. I was, for the longest time till I turned 42 or 41, like I am 45 right now, and I stutter, like, by the way. Until then, I understood Jesus and religion and Christianity and like oneness and like consciousness and God from that own lens. So I'm not faulting anyone. I'm just speaking my truth as I'm awakening, hoping that you are able to begin to see the divine like within you, and to be able to recognize that Jesus, Christianity, Christ consciousness is within you and lives within you. And when God said, or Jesus, you are made in the image of me, he literally was saying, the ingredients that make me are also in you, and you are made of the same ingredients as I do. He wasn't saying, go out there, pray for somebody, pray for me outside of me to receive me. He's saying, my consciousness lives within you. So how can God, and I'll get there in 1 second about sinners, okay? So like, I don't want to get like distracted. So Jesus did not come to create like followers, although through the Bible and everything, disciples and like followers, he didn't come here. He didn't conceive himself. He didn't remember to create followers. He remembered to allow us to become mirrors of him, to see the divinity in us. So why do we struggle to see Jesus as us? Because again, the comment that I received on Instagram and on TikTok and on Facebook and on all these things is that Jesus is outside of you, right? So why do we struggle to really understand that Jesus is in us, that we are made of godly ingredients? One is we've been programmed we are unworthy, period. We were programmed that we are sinners, even through religion. I used to pray to Mother Mary, where I would pray in like Arabic, guys. I like wasn't taught like the English version, but I know there's one part where it says we are sinners. Well, the more you say you are sinners, the more that you are remember that you are sinners. You know what I mean? So that alone, when you begin to believe that you are a sinner, you have devalued yourself than anything else. And from that, you begin to create your reality. None of us are sinners, guys. None of us. Life is experience. And I get to the esoteric like later, right? And like the more spirituality. Now I'm explaining why some people struggle to see themselves as Jesus, as worthy as Jesus. One, because we've been programmed that like we are sinners. Two, ego. Whoever mentioned the ego, yes, of course, the ego is afraid to get annihilated. Not annihilated from the sense it will never exist. It's afraid to understand itself even as having worth. Because ego only comes up when, in a sense, you begin to feel unworthy. So to see yourself as a true divine being, to see yourself as a true God, as a true like Jesus, means you have to let go of the identity. That you're a male, that you're this, that you're Lebanese, that you're successful, that you're American, that you're Chinese, that you're I don't know what else. All the identities, the construction of the human identity, you have to let go of in order to recognize yourself that you are the divine. Because up to that point, you are not seeing yourself as the divine. And ego, in a sense, fears its death. There is no really, on a grander context of things, fear of death. But there is just the idea of ego beginning to realize itself as not being what it thought it was. So it gets scared, right? 3, misunderstood humility. So when people like think claiming like divinity is arrogance, that's a fallacy. So like when I tell you I'm God, you're Jesus, I'm Jesus, Mother Mary, I'm Mother Mary, I'm all these deities, you are too. That is not arrogance. That is not claiming that divinity in arrogance. Because humility is recognizing everything is God. Humility, being humble, is recognizing there is God in everything, in everyone. That the God ingredients in the God essence in everything. When you begin to realize that God is everywhere, you've heard also the expression God is everywhere. What the fuck does that mean? It literally means God is everywhere. But the only time you are able to see God in everything is when you begin to radiate God to yourself and within yourself, which means you are worthy, which means you are lovable, which means you are never judged, which means you are integrated, which means you are whole, which means that universe and consciousness will never judge you, always loves you. Until that point, you are judging yourself, you are separating yourself, you are devaluing yourself, no worth like to yourself, you are comparing yourself to others. So how else? It makes pure psychological sense in my mind. You will not be able to see God outside of you and God in everyone else. And even God in Jesus himself, because up to that time you're living in a concept. You will not be able to see God outside of you until you see God within yourself. For the lens of your being, be able to radiate that vision outside to recognize. How can you recognize God outside of you when you don't see it as part of you and as God, right? And then external worship over internal embodiment, meaning it's easier to kneel before a symbol, which, guys, I have kneeled at church in front of Jesus, the cross, for 41 years. It's easier to kneel in front of something that's outside of you versus becoming that symbol itself. You are what you need to kneel to. Like you are. Receiving your worth and value is a lot harder than kneeling in front of something outside of you. Because in order for you to begin to recognize that Christ consciousness lives in you, you need to have worth. And in order for you to see the value in who you are, you need to see yourself fully in your whole totality. Oftentimes, almost all the time, we judge ourselves. We separate ourselves. We hate ourselves. We wish we did something different. We wish we were like that other person. We wish we didn't make this decision. Devalue, 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 devalue. So how do you get to a space where you begin to value like yourself fully? How do you come to a space to recognize that Jesus lives inside of you? That the idea of sinning does not exist, guys. Believe me when I say there is no sinning. It doesn't matter. You can kill And I'm not saying that you should go kill people, but if you have killed people, if you have hurt people, if you have done things that are so extreme and wild and like to the mind, to our society, is a big no-no and bad, even to God itself. When God says, when Jesus within Christianity, he says, whatever you've done, I will forgive you. What does that mean? What does that mean? He's not saying that I condone like what you did. And he's not saying, but how can he forgive you even if we did something so bad to our minds or like to our society's like standard? Why would he forgive you, and how can he? The fact that he can actually forgive you, which he has said a million and billion times, and all of you Christians out there know that. God forgive, repent, the idea of repenting. God will forgive all your sins. If there was a sin to begin with, the idea of a sin did really exist, if it really existed, forgiveness wouldn't be part of it. So the idea of forgiving the sin tells you already the sin isn't a sin to begin with. The sin is simply an experience. We are trying to understand the more. We are trying to understand, of course, God and consciousness and everything from the best ability that we have. And yes, everything that we've been gone through, like every religion, even your path, like my path, all of it is designed to awaken us. My purpose here today is just to share with you, based on the comment that I have been receiving, that were like people, because I posted like a video like recently that says, each and every one of us are gods. Each and every one of us are Jesuses and Mother Marys and Krishnas and Buddhas. And every cell in our body is God too. So we are gods. We have trillions of gods within us. We are gods walking within our own God. Like we are, and like the response back was, no, like you're not Jesus. No, like you're not God, because we're sinners, they said. So if Jesus is able, let's assume the idea of sinning exists. If Jesus and any other God is able to forgive your sins, I'm on Instagram and on like TikTok, guys, so I'm looking at the two cameras. So if Jesus can forgive your sin, and if sin is really a sin, how can that be ever forgiven? But the sin is never a sin, guys. A sin is just simply an experience. Our infiniteness, through science, energy is never created nor destroyed, meaning you will never, ever, 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 ever die. You change forms from physical to light, to whatever else you want to do, or choose like to remember, like to be. So if energy lives forever, and we live forever, the idea of sinning is simply a concept to allow you to experience that. But in reality, it's just an experience allowing you to experience like the more. Okay? So where do we go from here? How do we help others understand that they are God too? Like, how do you begin to deconstruct your mind from believing so much that you are a sinner and you're not worthy and Jesus is the only one who can save you? The idea of like saving is another fallacy. How do we go from there? The same spirit that raised Jesus from the dead also lives within you. Allow yourself to remember that. The same spirit that raised Jesus, or any other being, like for that matter, lives inside of you. And we are not meant to be a reflection of God. We are an extension of God. We are the other facet that God is living. We are an extension of Him, of it. And to see clearly, to see Jesus clearly, is to see yourself clearly. Up until this point, the majority of Christianity or any other like religion, like for that matter, sees things through the concept, the understanding of the words. But to really see Jesus for truly who He is, you gotta embody what that means within you. So are you telling me that Jesus is also a sinner? Is that what you are saying? I'm gonna post this on all of like the platforms. Are you saying that Jesus is also a sinner? Because if you're saying we're sinners, how can Jesus not be sinner if there's a God above Him? So if He sinned, but He's still God, Jesus, Christ consciousness, and He's still living, and He's still doing miracles, and He still exists everywhere, where is the sinning from? What is sinning to begin with? What is sinning? We created that concept through our morality, through our construction of what's right and what's wrong. We created it. That doesn't exist in consciousness, in the intelligence of all. So instead, oops, sorry guys, like something happened to the camera. Okay, so instead of saying, for example, Jesus saves me, try playing around like with the idea, Christ awakens within me. Two different things. Jesus saves me makes sense why you're saying that if you're a sinner, because you're looking for a higher power, someone more worthy than you, has more power than you to choose and judge. By the way, listen to this. We sometimes say, I don't know if you guys say that like God judges. God never judges. But saying that Jesus saves me already tells you that I am less than, have less value than for something else, someone else, some other consciousness to choose to save me. But play around with the idea, Christ awakens within me. Just as a game. Say that over and over again and begin to see the magic of worthiness that comes like within you. Because guys, when the living Christ walks on earth again, it is walking through each of us. The second coming of Jesus, like when they talk about it, it's not a physical thing. It's not a physical Jesus coming down. It is us awakening to our own divinity, whether it's called Christ consciousness or like Buddha consciousness or Krishna consciousness or whatever. All of them are the same consciousnesses becoming more aware of themselves, okay? That's all I want to say, guys. I love you so much. Thank you for joining. This is quite impromptu at the last minute. I was kind of pushed to mention this because of the comment that I received. I love you. I love you, Laura. Yes, Christ consciousness. Each and every one of you is Jesus. Each and every one of you is love. Each and every one of you is unconditional love. Each and every one of you is no judgment. Each and every one of you is life itself. It's the eternal consciousness. Infinity itself, each and every one of you. Begin to find worth within you. Guys, I'm doing that too. I'm not any special, so I get lost sometimes, I forget. But I'm reminding you the same way that I'm reminding myself that I am a worthy being, that I am Christ consciousness, that Jesus, you are made in the image of me. So clear as daylight, but yet we miss it. Every ingredient that Jesus has that made him who he is, the healer, performing miracles, like radiating unconditional love, is also within us. So begin to awaken it within you guys, okay? I love you infinitely. I'll be back on whenever Spirit says, okay? Maybe, I don't know, tomorrow. Love you. Bye, guys. I'm going to stop this now.